Weencast, a Ween podcast with Shane and Rory.
Hey, what's up? This is Shane.
And this is Rory.
And this is Weencast.
Hello, everybody.
And we welcome you back for part 2 of our Fred interview.
Yes, the stunning conclusion.
This was such a great time and a great phone call that we just went on and on and on. And yeah, we just had a great time. So should we go to the second part?
Yeah, let's just go. Let's just cut right to the chase. That's what the people are here for. Let's give them what they want.
Let's do it.
All right, everybody, part 2 of a Fred Moore interview.
I'm Brian Colburn.
And I'm Jay Sweet.
And we're the co-hosts of Tune Styles, a podcast aimed at the music nerd in us all.
Each listener interactive episode hones in on a different musical topic or artist.
Featuring guest interviews, listener polls, and roundtable discussions about the music that shaped the soundtrack to our lives.
You can find us at tunestylespodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found.
Subscribe to Tune Styles and be a part of our weekly musical conversation.
Stay tuned.
What's up, people? My name is Sean, and I'm the host of You're Not Listening, a podcast where we teach you how to actively listen to music one song at a time. Every episode, I sit down with my father, who was a mobile DJ for over 35 years, and we each bring a song to the table and talk about what makes it great, why you should listen to it, and why you should appreciate it through detailed analysis of the words and music, some personal stories that we might have with that, and hopefully will help you change your mind and get you listening to music in a little bit different way so you get a little bit more out of it. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen. If you love music and you want to figure out how you can love it even more, maybe even learn how to appreciate a song that you think you hate, it's You're Not Listening, a music podcast. Check it out. Thanks, everyone.
Tell us a little bit about how, was Spittoon your first band, and when did you start playing your own music?
Well, I started playing, I was late to the guitar game. I started playing guitar as a kid and then stopped. I decided I liked going to see Dead shows better. So I kind of put the guitar down for a long time, and then when I got divorced in '99, I decided that I needed something positive to focus my energy on. So I picked up the guitar.
Cool.
And I had all these friends that jam, so I would every Tuesday night I would have a jam in my basement, and it was like a guitar lesson for me. And we would just
absolutely.
And then I would just start coming up with ideas, and then my buddy Larry, he was always like great, like coming up with goofy poems and stuff. So me and him collaborated, and he's the one that came up with a lot of the songs that we still do. Like the two of us came up with it. Like he was never really one to structure a song together. That was kind of like my job. But he would come up with these like words, like the song Oralee. Like that's totally him. That started at the Philly Folk Fest as something around the campfire where we were, it was a drinking game, and everybody had to make up their own words. Like when the bottle was handed to you, like, you had to come up with a word, Oralee, she satisfies me, blah, 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 whatever it was, and then you'd have to make up another verse. So it became a song just out of nothing.
That's cool.
I was wondering if does Cambodia come from someone's personal experience?
Absolutely not. It comes from sitting in this basement just being goofy. Like literally just being goofy, and that for some reason that was the one song Mickey latched onto. When he first heard that, he pulled me aside and he was like, "Dude, that song's killer." He's like, "I wish I would have thought of that."
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's a great compliment.
So now Cambodia was just goofy. We were just being completely goofy. And you know how like Charlie blew up the bridge. Who blew up? We need a bridge for the song. And then somebody that was here said, Charlie blew up the bridge. And I'm like, there's the bridge.
Yeah. Sorry, Charlie.
Right. Exactly.
It's awesome. And we know, so you mentioned that you've actually had the opportunity to play with Ween. So tell us, how was that?
Well, I never actually got to play with Ween per se, but I've played with, just about everybody except Aaron.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but Mickey, I've had Mickey sit in with us on several occasions, and one of the best. I'm actually going to send you a couple clips from this show. I was telling Shane about it. We had one night where Bill and I played 2 gigs in one night, and we asked Mickey to sit in with us at the John and Peters gig that night, and he told the bar to put it on the website as Herbie Hancock and Raymore and Flanagan.
Nice.
So that's
fantastic.
We played as Herbie Hancock, not Hancock, Handcock.
Classy.
He was like, and people were actually calling the bar, is Herbie Hancock actually playing? So, I invited him. It was funny, too, because it's one of those things where you don't want to, again, leave Diener alone. You don't want to bother the guy, and I never did. And for years, I watched people, like, climb up his ass when they see him.
Yeah, totally.
And, for years, I was really hesitant about asking him to play with us. But he used to come see us all the time and actually help us out on sound. So that was always nice. So I figured, geez, we're not chasing the guy out of the room, because so many times I'd see him come downstairs from upstairs at the bar, watch a band for a song and a half, and then leave. And then when we would see him, be like, did you guys hear that? So he'd be like making fun of the band or whatever. Like, you would know if he was into it or not. So it didn't matter who you were. So the fact that he would stay in the room when we played told me something. So it took me about 2 years to actually get up the nerve to ask him. Bill and I were both like, I don't know. Because I'm like, well, should I ask him? Bill's like, well, maybe you should, because it's your band. And I'm like, so one night I asked him, and he was like, geez, I thought about time you asked. So again, I'm sitting here sweating it again. Like, he didn't want to ask me. But he's like, man, I thought you were never going to ask, like. And then there was one night where he was like, oh, I remember one night, like, he had been sitting in with us, and I was having another guitar player sit in, and I didn't know he was going to be there. And he was like, oh, you already have someone else sitting in, huh? I was like, yeah, man, I didn't know you were coming. And he left because he wasn't going to play. So
he knew when he wasn't welcome.
Right. It just was funny. I kind of felt bad a little bit, but I was like, hey, man, I didn't know you were coming. You're always my first choice of someone to sit in, The
Totally.
best was my birthday gig, though, when my 50th birthday, when that was a really awesome night. I'm going to send you guys a clip from that too. Him sitting in with us. There's some good stuff. He did a Sorry Charlie with us. It's pretty kick ass.
Oh man, that's awesome, dude.
How is it trying to play off, take Diener's lead or whatnot when you're on stage with him?
Well, it's interesting. It depends. Like, there's nights where, like, when he first sits in with you, he'll be like, you just tell me what, like, I'll be up there and we'll be doing one of my tunes, and I'll just nod to him and, like, throw him the lead.
Yeah.
And then, like, he'll play with us for a while, and then he'll be like, hey, you guys should play this. It's really easy. I'll show you. So there's so many times where it's just like, when it's, especially like, not so much with Spittoon, but with Bill and Fred, like, so many times where it's like, we'll end up playing like 15 songs that we've never played before, and he does stuff with us that he doesn't really do with anybody else. Like, he'll come and be like, hey, you guys, I got a new song, and I want you guys to play it with Spittoon so that I can check it out. And that song was Exercise Man. Like, he gave us Exercise Man, wanted us to learn it. So I had the whole band learn it. I drilled and drilled and drilled, recorded it, then sent it to him, then had him tell me what I was doing wrong. And then he sent it back, with a note. And then I made the corrections and then sent it back to him. And then he was like, awesome. So then he came to see us and watched us play it. And then, then we actually figured out the end of the song, because the song didn't really have an end. It sort of faded out on the recording that he had of it. Mm-hmm. So we were the ones that came up with Exercise Man, to end it. So, and he kept it. So that's pretty cool. Like, stuff like that. Like, he'll come out and be like, I just wrote this new song, Tools of the Trade. And he'll tell us the chords, just play a G, and he'll have like notes, and he'll start singing from the notes. Like, he was singing a song that he had just wrote because he went to Home Depot. So he wrote a song called Tools of the Trade. The guy's a genius. Like, you know, like he wrote, like he'll want to play, like, did you ever, I don't think he ever released it. Like he made up this song about the first Star Wars movie called Jar Jar Binks. And he broke it out with us. You know, it's like, I hate Jar Jar Binks, episode 1, totally stinks. You know?
Oh, awesome, dude.
I would pay to hear that.
I think that could be arranged.
You got to hook us up with that, Fred.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You probably won't. I don't think you can play it because I don't think it's actually like been recorded like or released yet. You know, so but you guys are more than welcome. You guys are more than welcome to check it out. I was going to send you that.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. That but
means to thank you very much.
Right. Oh yeah. And then the you know, like he broke out like the one night that he was playing with us that night. He was just like, hey, I want to play a song by myself to start off the second set. And we're like, go for it, dude. So he plays Sweetheart in the Summer.
No. That's
we were just like,
cool, man.
Yeah, it was like, you know, that's not the song Ween really plays, you know? And then he'll play Serve Somebody with us, and then the next song he'll be like, hey, you guys, we should play Shut Up in Your Face. It's real easy. It goes like this. You know, like, he'll just come out with this stuff that's just like, Bill and I are just like, sure, dude, whatever you want to do. Fred, it's real easy, man. I'll check it out. I'll show you.
Well, let's go back a little bit.
All right.
You know, since you're bringing up, you know, songs like that and things that, you know, you may have heard, you know, on nights like that before any of us, you know. Do you have like a favorite song or a favorite album by Ween?
It would have to be Chocolate and Cheese.
Very good choice.
Nice.
I would have to say, as far as an album that has like, I like all their records, but one that has like, in my opinion, the most dynamic, and I love the production of it the best. You know, the songs are rockin' and cerebral.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally, man.
That was the first album I heard myself.
Nice.
Yeah, that was kind of when both of us like got on board with it, was after Chocolate and Cheese was new.
Right.
And you know, it's just one of those records that just like sucks you in, you know. I mean, no questions asked, you know.
Right, and then I mean, as soon as you see the album cover, you're just like, "Well, I got to check this."
Oh yeah, of
record
course.
out.
Oh yeah, that doesn't hurt either.
I might as well
you know?
just keep this propped up on my bookshelf while I listen to this album.
Exactly, it's so true.
Well, tell us a little bit about getting into like taping for Ween. So you got back into them then from, you know, going to John and Peter's, and, you know, did you like immediately just start taping them like all the shows after that?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Everyone I went to. Like I said, the only time I didn't tape that one was recently. And anything they did at John and Peter's, we would always find a way to be the first ones in there and find a way to get our gear in there. Even like some of those crazy shows where you had to wait outside. I would always like have somebody take the gear inside just to make sure. Kirk's even helped me out sometimes with that.
Speaking of John and Peters, we're going to cut away to share with you Sorry Charlie, played by Fred's band Spittoon with Diener for Fred's birthday at John and Peters, June 25th, 2015.
So I mean, I have like a million questions. I mean, like when
Okay.
we were getting our questions together, I have to admit to Rory that I pretty much just like caved under pressure because I'm like, I'm out. I got so much stuff I can't even, I just blanked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're overwhelmed because there's so much. It's like too many choices.
I mean, like, did you find yourself okay? So maybe not like the John and Peters because that's kind of like a real close knit, like only the locals, especially back in those days, like only the locals sort of like, knew about that place and could get there on like a regular basis. Did you find yourself coming into like a taper community for Ween, or were you really one of like the first guys that started doing it after that point?
There was a small taper community, but it all was kind of it was a lot of the same people from the Fish and Dead community that I already kind of knew. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, so there really wasn't like when I first started taping Ween, there was maybe 7 or 8 of us doing it. That was about it. And
Okay.
and, there wasn't a ton, but yeah, we were some of the first.
And it was always like a thing that was welcome. There was never like, did you guys ever have any problems when it came to like venues or anything like that?
No. Sometimes I don't know if you've ever been to the Court Tavern. They had kind of a snotty doorman, but he would just give you a hard time because he wanted to. But other than that, I always got my gear in. But other than that, no, not really. I mean, every place back then, they weren't really playing the bigger venues. Now I have more trouble taping them than I did back then. Like trying to get my gear into the Met was
Well,
a whole
security's
thing.
so much changed as well, more recently than back in the day.
Right. Well, everything pre 9/11 it was so much easier,
Right.
Now it's metal detectors.
Is there like a, it's kind of a simple question, but it's like, can you just say, I can't believe I was there to tape, this show, or this by far is the best show I've ever taped?
Yeah, that's a tough one because there's a lot of those. But some that come to mind, one of the ones that comes to mind that I was really glad that I was at, that a lot of people didn't get to go to, was when Ween did the DAT tape thing. When Claude got hurt in 2002, when Claude got into that really bad car accident, they did a couple benefit shows. They did a couple in New York, and then they did one at a small bar in Hoboken, and it was Ween duet with the DAT tapes opened, then Instant Death, then Sound of Urchin. That was a hell of a night. And it was at the Hoboken bar.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Was that like the official like concert for Claude?
That was the first one. It was like the official, unofficial one because it was in a small bar. Like the place was held maybe, I don't know, 300 or 400 people. And then they did another one at Irving Plaza. I think it was Irving Plaza.
So that might have been like a show to like get ready for the real show, kind of one of those kind of deals.
Yeah, that was one that was just thrown together right after the accident happened, and we found out that it happened, and everybody was just so happy that Claude was alive that they threw together this benefit with those 3 bands, and then they planned 2 shows with like I believe it was in Irving Plaza. I could be wrong about that, but it was definitely in New York, and it was like the first night was Chris Harford, Sound of Urchin. They had like all Sharif, Amandala. There was a bunch of other local acts. I can't remember, but each show had like bands from New Hope opening. Like the first night it was 3 bands and then Ween, and then the second night it was 3 bands and then Ween.
So it's sort of like the entire like Ween like family tree, more or less.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you got to come out for Claude, you know?
Exactly. Right. And we were just so happy when we heard he got into that accident. Everybody was sort of like, is he okay? Like, because we heard he got hit head on. It was like, whoa. It's hard to believe that was that long ago. It still is very fresh in my mind. 18 years ago. It's crazy. Yeah, I guess you didn't go to any of those shows, either of you guys.
No, I
right?
wasn't at the concert for Claude. I went to, I think Shane and I went to a John and Peters show that didn't have Claude. That would have been from that time period.
Yeah,
Oh.
we were able to catch the one of the shows where I think it was like they played like in the afternoon and then the
Josh
evening. It was like
Freeze.
two separate. Yeah, and Josh Freeze.
Yep.
That's his name, right? Was
Yep.
on drums.
Yep.
So I mean, he's going on to do a lot of amazing. I mean, he has a pretty broad career in and of himself. If I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he's a heck of a nice guy. He's a really good guy.
And I remember those shows. I wasn't able to make it to any of them, but for years and years and years, I had the Concert for Claude shirt that I think I bought on the website, like after the fact, and I felt like such a poser that I finally just wound up selling it, and one of the guys who actually was at that show bought it, and we've been friends ever since.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I was like, you know what, he deserves it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I sold it to him for literally like a few bucks. I was like, you know what, dude, you deserve it. You were there. More power to you.
Is that the show that has every band name on the front, like all
Yeah,
squished
yeah,
together?
yeah.
That's cool. I have that shirt somewhere too. That's a cool shirt.
Well, let's sort of bring it back to like now. And I mean,
Okay.
I know that your picture is on the actual Diener album in the collage of faces. Because I remember being so jealous when I opened that record. I mean, like, Fred's on there, like.
Fucking guys everywhere.
But I mean, what's it like, being in the new, Diener studio and like working with him on something?
Oh my God. Well, now it's kind of like, I'm used to it, like.
Sure.
But when he first built that studio, it was cool. He was like, it was an honor to be invited over. And I had been to the other studios, but nothing was like this one. And at the time, he was playing the Invitational every week because he was still living in New Hope. So he called me one night after the studio was like maybe built and done for about 2 weeks. And he called me about 3 hours before the Invitational. He's like, dude, can you pick me up? And I'm like, sure. We're at your house? And he's like, no, at the studio. I'm like, the new studio? And he's like, yeah. So he gave me directions on how to get there. So I got to the studio at 5:00, and he was like, dude, here. Gives me an acoustic guitar. Put this on. I'm like, okay. And he's like, now, stand here. All right. Now play Cambodia. Play it. And sing a scratch track. Just fucking play it. Okay. He's like, are you ready? I'm like, I guess, So I played Cambodia, and he's like, okay, cool. All right, that was good. Now do it again. So I do it again, And then he's like, okay, now sing it. Like he plays it back, and I sing it, and he's like, okay, yeah, that's awesome, dude. Sing it again. Okay, he sings it again. So he doubles, and I sang it a third time. Then he's like, okay. So then he goes into the studio, into the other room, and pumps the music into the studio, and he plays drums on it. Then he plays bass on it. Then he plays lead on it. Then he puts sound effects on it. So suddenly it was like a 3-minute version, the shortest version of Cambodia ever. It was like that. He was calling it the single. So, and you know what? I'll send that to you. I'll dig it up. I don't know.
Cool.
I got it in here somewhere. I actually forgot about this until we're talking about it because you asked that question. And he was like, cool, man. Now you got a single. And so he was like, it took about an hour and a half to do all that, and then he sent it to me, and I had it on my phone. And
so this is really him, like, I can now just do everything myself, kind of thing. And he,
Yep.
I can record all the pieces myself. That's
Everything.
Sort of like his thing now.
Yep, and that was right before he recorded his new record. And it took him so long to record his new record because he kept coming up with new songs and new ideas, and he'd be like, oh, I can't. I got to put this song on the new record. So basically, he wrote 2.5 records while he was putting out the first record.
So you're talking about the Diener album?
Yeah, the first one that I have the picture on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it was funny, too, because he was like, dude, take a selfie and send it to me. And make sure you're smiling. He didn't tell me what it was for. That's all he told me. Take
Cool.
a picture and send it to me. Next thing
That's
I knew,
awesome, dude.
It's in the album.
Speaking of the Dean Ween Group, here we got Bill and Fred and Diener at John and Peters, September 10th, 2017, playing Waste Station 9.
Well, here's a you know, you can answer this one as just a Ween fan,
Okay.
or you know, someone who's friendly with Dean, or however you want to, or you can not answer it at all. You know what I mean? You know, no disrespect or anything like that. But you know, what do you think the chances are of new Ween music in the future?
The coveted question everybody has. I really can't say. Knowing the inner workings and stuff, it's hard to really make a comment. There's nothing I would love more, because you know, I just don't know. I would love to think now at this point, hopefully, but I don't know. I can't really say. You know, I wish I had an answer for that. That is the question, and we all want the same result. You know, we all want to hear new music. We all want to see those guys get together and write like they used to. Because man, they were just machines. Like in the early 2000s, they were killing it. Just just one record after the next. White Pepper. You know, what was the other one that
Quebec came
right
out
after
a
that?
little bit
They
after
put
that.
out a bunch of Quebec, right? That was two great albums in a row, and then look, what was that? El Cucaracha.
Yeah, La Cucaracha was the last one. It's been a while.
Well, that was the last one, okay. And then they did that. What about that Internet Live one? They all kind of run together now.
Well, I think it's frustrating because, you know, like, I mean, I'm a huge fan, you know, since I'm, 14, 15 years old or whatever it is. But like, you know, when you look at stuff that's going on now, it's like, okay, you got the Diener album and Rock 2 and like all the cool stuff that he's doing. And he has this fully functioning studio now. And then you see stuff now, and I know it's been a few years now, but like, you know, the album Freeman. And it's like, what a great record. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, they still got it. You know, that's sort of the tantalizing kind of part about it is it's like, man, you know, if you put those things together once again, I'm sure it would be, you know, amazing. You know?
Nothing I'd like to see more.
It's just, you know, but I also have to say, you know, going and seeing, you know, a show like the Philly Met at the end of last year, and they broke out something like Seconds, you know, like when they unearthed those like old songs, that, you know, that gives me a jolt too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So it's like, I'd love to see just some like old like B-sides like come back to life. I think maybe even more so than, you know, something I've never heard before. I mean, it's hard to say, but I get such a huge kick out of seeing some old school track like all of a sudden come back. I had never even heard, well, now I'm gonna blank on the name. The one that they started playing when they first came back. What is the song that they had just started playing in like 2016 when they came back, and we had never even heard it before? Some old thing, and you know, and it's like, oh, what is this song? And then like, you know, you kind of go back and realize it's like an old B-side or something, and it's like, wow, like that's so cool that like even after all these years they can still bring something back to life. You know, Kim Smoltz is the song that I was thinking of.
Great song.
But I mean, it just bringing back those like, you
Polo
know, those
Vasala.
old school
It's
tracks.
another good one
You know, like
that
I
they
mentioned,
brought back.
Seconds. It's like, what? I mean, I hardly even remembered that was a real song, and there they are. They're playing it at the fucking Philly Met. You know, stuff like that.
It's great. You're definitely seeing a good mix of very rare stuff coming out, and so that's definitely cool. I always love going to see him live. So
Oh yeah.
you know, if any chance I get, I'll take it.
It's a great live show. You know, new songs or not, it's just one of the best live shows out there.
So tell us a little bit about, were you there for like the very start of the Invitational, and what were sort of the initial like roots of it?
Well, the beginning of the Invitational, the Invitational's about 10 or 11 years old. It was started by a guy named Bill Levinson, keyboard player, local guy. Nice, good dude, good keyboard player, a few years older than all of us. He actually started this jam with Uncle Buzz and Claude and Dave Drywitz. That's the original Invitational right there. It's keyboards, drums, bass, and guitar. It was the 4-piece. I only saw like one or two of them because it was like I didn't know it was going to be a weekly thing. It didn't, none of us really knew it was going to be a weekly thing. And then it kind of like changed and like Claude and Dave stopped. They both moved out of town, so they stopped coming, and so then they had to have replacements. So for years it was like more of a blues, almost a blues jam, where it was like Mickey and Bill and those guys. The way it is now, that's not the way it started. These guys would play a lot of standards, a lot of blues tunes, and there was different guys, but that's where Joey Kramer came from. That's how we all met Joey Kramer. Like, he started coming out, and he was one of those guys that came out early on. Like, he was one of Levinson's friends, so he started coming out. Then we started to get. There was a night where Bill Levinson wasn't going to be there, so Mickey called up Bill and said, "Hey, Billy, can you help me out at the Invitational? Levinson's not going to be there. He wants me to take it over." And Bill's like, "Yeah, sure." So Bill called me, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'll help you guys out on sound and everything, and I'll record it." So that first night, just, Mickey put together a band of, I can't remember, it's local guys like Dave Carta. I forget who played drums that night. It may even have been Sim Kane. I don't remember, but and Joe Kramer was one of the guitar players, and I believe Glenn was there for that too. So that was some of the early days of the Invitational, and then it just started to like build and build. And then Bill Levinson goes to Florida every year. He has a winter house down there, and he has a house in New Hope and then a house in Florida. So when he goes away, then Mickey would just completely take over the jam for those 3 months. And basically, whenever Mickey's there, he's in charge anyway. Then about 2 years ago, Mickey moved out of New Hope, and then it was, I had been doing sound at that point for about 6 or 7 years. And then when Mickey moved out of New Hope, Bill and I just took it over, and we've been doing it ever since. So that's pretty much how. And so then every week, we just make a call and try to put a band together. We know enough players now that know the songs, that can just slide right into that place.
Totally.
Cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it, in a nutshell.
And we're going to cut in one more time. This time we got the Dean Ween Group song Gary, played at the Invitational this year, February 12th, 2020. Speaking of the Invitational, I was hoping we could just talk about John and Peters a little bit. For
Certainly.
People out there who might not know John and Peters, what makes John and Peters special? You've obviously spent a lot of time there.
Well, there's really no other place like it. The thing that really makes it special is that it remains fairly unchanged since the day it was opened in 1972. And as far as ambiance, as far as original stage, just the way the room's set up. The room has been changed a little bit, but for the most part, it's stayed pretty much the same. And it's just when you walk into that room, everyone is on an even playing field. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, the color of your skin, your sexual preference. Doesn't matter. Leave it at the door. We're all the same. And we're all here for one reason. To rock.
And you're all going to be stuffed like sardines.
Yes. With the exception of the way it's been recently, but yes. And, and I actually look forward to when we can do that again.
Yeah, so,
like
the pandemic, I know you're doing some live shows on Facebook. I tried to catch a couple of them. So talk about that. Talk about that whole experience. Like, that's got to be crazy going from, rocking constantly, whether you're going to shows or playing your own music, and then trying to keep it going through the pandemic.
And you really seem to be one of the ones who like started that pretty early on. I mean, I remember seeing, you just being like, okay, live in, I guess it's your basement, right? You were pretty early on in that whole thing.
Well, when it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, you know how you have those $1 million ideas that no one ever acts on? Well, this time I was like, even though I didn't make $1 million, it was just a great idea. I was like, once they said the state was going to, basically the world was going to be closed and everyone was going to be sitting in their houses for the next however long, I called Bill that day, that Sunday, and I said, get your ass over here. We have to play live for everybody on Facebook. I'm like, this is the future. Let's get it. Let's be the first to do this. So he came over here, and my basement is already basically set up as a studio. So I just had to hang up a couple of tapestries and just reorganize a couple of things, and bang, we had a live studio. And as time has gone on, I've learned so much during this pandemic, like stuff I thought I'd never have to learn. And, it's all new territory. It's all necessity is the mother of invention type of thing. So I figured out, I noticed that Keith Kenny does one every Thursday too. And I noticed how much better his sounded than ours. And the way I was doing it was through the phone, but I had like a wedge, which is a monitor, like on, those things you see on the stage.
Yeah.
I had a monitor that was pointed at the phone, and that was like the main speaker. And I would just crank it up, and it sounded okay, but I noticed Keith Kenny's was pristine sounding. So I called him and I'm like, dude, how do you get it sounding so good? And he explained it to me, and it was funny because he was like, dude, the iRig. And then I don't know if you know what an iRig is. An iRig is a interface that you can plug into your phone that turns your phone into so you can plug a guitar into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there's like an app, and then there's a headphone out, so you can listen to yourself play and play around with the app. So like different amps are in there, different effects and stuff like that. So you can play and not bother anybody. Well, I got one of these things about 4 years ago, played with it about 5 times, and after finally figured, if I'm going to play guitar, I should probably come down here and play with my own stuff, not with this iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
So I put when Keith said the iRig, I looked over at my shelf, and there it was, collecting dust. Like I had the thing the whole time. So it's just a matter of putting the pieces together.
Waiting for a rainy day.
Right. How to arrange them, how to get the soundboard into your phone. And I'm a sound man. I should be able to figure this out. So I did. And I've just been working on it ever since, making it better. I upgraded and bought a smart rig, which is a much better interface, has a 9-volt battery, and you can actually set your levels on the thing, and it's stereo. So
nice.
As time has gone on, I've just been upgrading and watching YouTube how-to videos, like so many YouTube how-to videos. I spend 12, like when I'm down here in my basement, I don't know what time it is. Everything looks the same. There's no windows. I'm just like, my girlfriend will come downstairs and be like, you've been here down here 12 hours. I'm like, what? Guess I should eat something. Bill says I'm like a mad scientist with all the papers with stuff written on it and piled up all over the place. I looked around and I'm like, he's right. I got to clean this place up.
That look good for the cameras,
Totally.
No, and that's good. I mean, all you can do nowadays is just like you got to learn as you go, and you just sort of
Right.
Keep
Well, it's all
tweaking
new
it and making it
territory.
better as you can.
Right, it's all new territory for all of us. Like the other night on Thursday night, I did sound at John and Peters for a full band, Room for Mojo, friends of mine, and it was another learning experience where when you do a simulcast, like how do you monitor it? Well, I figured it out. I had my phone and my headphones, so I would walk out back and just listen to the Facebook Live through my headphones, and then I'd walk back inside, make the adjustment, walk back out. There was a lot of walking in and out, but I figured it out, and got it sounding really good. So there will be, I'm going to give you guys a little sneak preview. I don't know if it'll be this Wednesday, but one of these Wednesdays, there's going to be a virtual invitational, and I will let you all know.
Oh, nice.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So I talked to the club today. I went there today because they were just, I don't know if you guys live in Pennsylvania, but on Friday we went into the yellow phase, which means that restaurants can have 25 people outside. So John and Peter set up their back parking lot as like a dining area. So Corinne and I went there and we had some food, and I talked with the owners, and they were like, they weren't sure if they were going to have Bill and Fred play this particular Sunday there because they didn't know how it would be with people using the bathroom, and they didn't want people to gather inside.
Yeah.
So after yesterday and today, they had such successful days, and they were like, if you guys want to do it here, you can do it here. So we are going to play there tomorrow. I was like, dude, I would way rather play there than 13 gigs in my basement is enough.
Yeah.
I want to play my second living room. So we're going to play that. So depending on how the next few days goes, there's going to be an invitational either this Wednesday or the following. So I'll let you know. I'll give everybody plenty of advance warning, but I'll let you guys know. I'll give you guys an instant heads up, on the Facebook.
It's awesome. Definitely
chat.
want to check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. So again, like you guys said it the best. It's a learning experience, and we're kind of all in it together. Like, it's just so funny because when John and Peters used to be owned by John and Peter, and about 4 years ago, Bill, there was all kinds of drama going on at John and Peters. Bill got thrown out by the management. The woman that managed the place didn't like Bill, didn't like the Invitational, didn't like any of us.
Damn.
It's a long story, and it's a long story, but friends of mine, Mike Wieners and Kevin Rauch, worked at Mojitos. So when Bill got kicked out of John and Peters, we started hanging out at Mojitos, and I stopped playing at John and Peters. We would only play at Mojitos. So we took them on, and we would have Mickey play with us at Mojitos. Like, he was all about it, screw her, so it was kind of the attitude. So then, as it turns out, these guys bought the place and fired her. Which was like the greatest thing ever. And, Bill got unbanned right before that happened. But Bill Fowler was banned from John and Peters. I mean, that's just wrong, So
yeah, that's insane.
right.
Man.
How's that
So
happen?
that's a whole other radio show. But those guys were saying to me, like, one of the reasons that we bought the place was because, we wanted to get rid of her, and you guys definitely helped us by being on our side and supporting us, and not, and hanging out at Mojitos, even though we know you'd rather play at John and Peters, So and then it just was such a nice thing to see the good guys actually win. So now I'm doing everything I can, and it's like we were joking, me and Kevin and Mike Wieners were joking today, like, why is it always us that have to pioneer this stuff? We're always the ones, So, but hey, it's working, and it's just going to get better as time goes on.
And, someday this will all be behind us, and all be just crazy memories.
Right, a blip on the radar. It's like the people that, like, the young people that don't understand, like, what it was like living through 9/11. Well, now you kind of do. Kind of the same sort of feeling, but it's lasting a heck of a lot longer.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of psychologically draining in that sense. going on.
Right. They're two completely different things, but it, again, psychologically draining, and then all the other stuff that's going on is just like, wow. If I didn't have music, I don't know what I'd do. You know, really don't. I'm sure that's true for you guys too.
Well, dude, I mean, we don't want to keep you all night.
Oh, this is fun. You guys are fun.
Well, Fred, I mean, it's like we said in the beginning. I mean, we owe you so much just by being Ween fans, and you have been one of the guys who has taken care of us over the years.
I appreciate you appreciating me, because it's a mutual love. That's for sure.
And we want to thank you so much for taking so much time out of your night, and we're huge fans of you, man.
Oh, thanks, man. I love your guys' podcast. It's fun.
Thanks, dude.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to say also myself, I really appreciate you coming on, and it's been awesome getting to chat with you for 2 hours.
Man.
You feel like
Anytime.
you're just scratching the surface, but...
Right. Totally. Hey, man, anytime I'm here. Especially now, we're all kind of here.
Yeah, well, I definitely try to check you guys out on Sundays at 3, you and Bill and Fred's.
That's got to be... I know you have kids, so it's probably tough.
I just throw it on, and then I just kind of cruise around the house. And although when you guys
Excellent.
dropped the the Pee Wee Herman, at first I thought that was one of you guys, just had a great impression. Then I realized it was the Machine.
Every week I try to find new and goofy sound bites. This week I went for a whole bunch of Monty Python. All right, entirely too silly,
That's fantastic. So I love those little pieces, definitely. But yeah, dude, it's been awesome.
Excellent. Thanks, man.
Definitely be keeping an eye on you on Facebook Live and seeing how things progress. Hoping you guys can get back to John and Peters.
Yeah, man.
Sooner
Well,
than later.
we are playing there. It's just not two people. So
Yeah.
believe me, I can't wait to play to somebody besides my girlfriend. Like, hi, Corinne. Everybody say hi to Corinne.
Well, our best to her as well, Rin the Red, right? That's where her official
Rin
title.
the Red.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Yeah. So thank
Awesome.
you so much for everything, Fred. Really, man, this has been great. What a real thrill.
You got it, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, and you guys keep up the good work. You're doing, like you say, I'm doing God's work. You guys are right there with me, man. You guys keep it up.
We'll see what we can do.
Fucking A, dude.
Hell yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so that was our amazing interview with the awesome Ween taper and cool artist in his own right, Fred Moore. We want to say thank you again to Fred.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much, Fred. It's been awesome.
Absolutely. Hit us up on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Weencast podcast. We're going to have a bunch of cool clips from the Fred interview, and also some full-length songs that Fred sent us, because he's just that cool and sent us some great tracks. So we're going to have all that stuff up on Patreon for people to check out. So hit us up on Patreon.
Yeah, dude, and I gotta tell you, we tantalized you with a little bit of Sorry Charlie there, and probably one of the best versions of Sorry Charlie you're ever gonna hear.
Totally.
But, hit us up on Patreon if you want to hear the rest. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, way cool stuff. Way cool stuff. So, and also hit us up on all the socials, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, guys. So have a great night. We're gonna take you out with a little bit of Bill and Fred doing a little Comfortably Numb in their basement for the pandemic, or during the pandemic, I should say, not for the pandemic. But we're gonna take you out with a little bit of Comfortably Numb. So enjoy.
Nice.
A distant ship smoke on the horizon. You rode the car through and wait. Your lips move, but I can't hear what you're saying. When I was a child, I had a fever. comfortably numb.
Hey, everybody listening to Weencast podcast. This is your old pal August Forming here, a.k.a. Fred Moore. And I want you all to tune in to my Invitational radio show, WINV. It's recorded at the Invitational in New Hope, Pennsylvania. What I do is I select a Invitational and I play songs from it. I narrate and tell stories. It's a lot of fun. So please sign up for my YouTube page, which is Fred Moore. And now back to Weencast podcast.